Welcome, everybody, to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa. You know, the crazy mother-daughter travel team. We travel full-time across the country and excited to welcome Dr. Katsura Suzuki on the show today because we're going to talk about travel. And her new book is out and it really touches base for, I'd say, kids between 8 and 11. And really, you know, as kids, when you travel, I went to, I think, 16 schools, Nancy?
Yeah,
About 15, 16 schools in different countries. When you get
right.
into school, kids look at you as you're the new cool thing on the block. The next day, oh, you're old and you're different than us. And it's a whole other world. So there's that difference. And her book really bridges that gap and also uh, teaches readers to really celebrate the different qualities that we have. So I actually think
Mm,
this is great for adults. I'm just saying. It's called
yes.
The Birdfish and the Secret of Crystal Island. And you can go get it on Amazon now, all those bookstores, Bookshop, Goodreads. But you can also go to our website, drkatsurasuzuki.com. So welcome, Katsura. How are you?
Fine, fine. And you?
Oh,
We're
doing
good.
good, doing good. Today we're recording from Raleigh, North Carolina. By the time this airs, we'll be, where will we be, Nancy? Where are
I
we
don't
going?
know.
Where are we going?
Oh,
Well, we'll be in Georgia.
oh, Georgia.
and
That's right.
and you're in Switzerland, right? So yeah. Wow. So, but you lived in the States for a while, right?
Yeah, it was a very long, long time ago when I was before 20.
Mm.
Okay. So you went from Japan to the
to
United
Jap-
States?
Yes, United States in California, and then moved to Switzerland. And I live already 35 years here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Mm.
And you've also got a whole other life besides writing children's books. You also work in the world of finance, right?
Yeah, I'm doing financial business more than 30 years.
Mm.
And this is the side thing, but this is my dream somehow. I had a dream for 30 years ago when I had burnout and I was
Mm.
at the therapy and I was starting the dream analysis, and that was the dream. And I made some pictures and this became a story.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
How cool.
half bird, half fish, right? So
Yeah.
that's really neat because and I love the drawings. In fact, I would love
Hmm.
to see a coloring book come from this, from the illustrations
Oh,
of the
that would
book.
be fun. That would be
Yes,
good. Mm.
nice. Yes.
Yeah,
But you
because
can also think the children can paint by themselves, draw by themselves.
Yes. Hmm.
And yeah.
right, right. So this you said was actually kind of a dream, but you also isn't it also part of meditation that helps with for
Yes,
kids?
yes, helps because you calm down and you can think what is inside of yourself because you live usually with the superficial mind. So this is good to be to get to know yourself how you are, and that you are different and different is making you strong, and difference is good and unique and special.
Mm. And did you find that when you were growing up and also even in your younger years going to different countries that we're no matter what, we're always different. We're always the immigrant for some reason.
Yes, yes, yes. United States especially, it's so many different cultures in one country.
Mm,
But I was like grown up in very traditional Japanese, and then came to Western country, United States and Switzerland. But this is also like mixed. I'm from Eastern and West, and I'm a woman, but working in the men's world because in
mm,
finance most of the time is the men, and I was also traveling a lot like you do. So there are a lot of things for me. It's like a bird and fish,
mm.
and I felt always like I understand both, but they don't understand, and sometimes it's not they don't understand me neither. So I'm the birdfish, and also any people not fitting in, is a birdfish.
Mm. I think that's true. I mean, I always said that I'm a frog because I always feel like I'm in the in between waters. I'm not quite in the I'm in the ocean and I'm not in the ocean. I'm in the non-salty water.
Yeah,
So always in
yeah.
a marsh. I always felt like I was a frog. So but I like the idea of being a birdfish, and the birdfish is so cute, you know. But what was it that led you to say, okay, I'm going to take this dream and write a children's book? Because it's not like, you know, we think about pictures books when we talk about children's book, but this is almost young adult. This is like between 8 and 11. So this is like a full on story that they can, you know, really put themselves in. And it's also, I think when kids are at that age and reading, like I know from when I was that age, I loved reading because you could escape and no one could
Yes.
tell me about what I was reading. It was my journey with what I was reading.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree totally.
Reading is, especially for children who are traveling because their parents have decided to travel, reading is extra, extra, extra important because that's what's going to get you through the rough patches because parents don't always see things at the same level as the child sees them. You know, what we take for granted as adults, that, oh, this, you know, this is not scary, doesn't mean it's not scary for the child. It is scary. So
It
they
is.
need to be able to read and sort it out in their minds.
That's
Yeah.
true. I'm also from Eastern and Western, so it's kind of birdfish. But for example, my children, they are half Swiss and half Japanese. That's a different birdfish, and every birdfish has different circumstances. So if you know that being birdfish a good thing, and difference makes you strong, and difference is good and unique and special, and this message is really the main of this book.
Now, Crystal Island, you know, so your main character, the birdfish, she lands in this crystal on this crystal island. Staraku, is that her name? Am I saying that correctly? Staraku.
Yeah.
Staraku. So when she gets there to this crystal island and there's water and it sounds like this magical place, but she also carried a lot of fear when she got to the island. And I think that's something too, where you think someone's always going to attack you and to somehow let your guard down is a very difficult thing because you cannot always be in that fear mode, or, you know, you have to let your guard down to be able to breathe and regroup and sleep. And she finally got to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you feel weak, you may hurt somebody. So that's very important. When you are strong, you can even help others. So that's the message, to help those who feels weak, starting to feel strong. And to feel strong is the forgiveness is important for peace inside, and then you can start to have a space inside to be able to observe outside, and then also decide to help, you know.
And let's talk about the little character she meets on the Crystal Island that was almost like a mentor to her. Is it a goose moose? A goose? Agumus, how do you say his name?
Agumus.
Agumus. That's a
Yes.
good name. Agumus.
Yes.
So
this is named from my son, actually. It's 30 years ago. He was like
wow.
5, and he looked at my different painting drawings, and then he said, what is the name of that character? And then I said, I don't have name. And he said, okay, this is Agumus. So I named it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But he's cool.
Nice.
It's like he helps her on the island. And it seems
Yeah.
like and she also didn't always listen either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much how it is. I mean, when I look at when Lisa was really young, I took her halfway around the world, you know, to live in Kenya. So we left the United States. We were about just over a year and a half old, and took her
I can't
to,
keep up anymore.
yeah, I know. So took her to Africa. So absolutely everything was different. The food, the smells, the scenery,
Yeah.
just everything was different. And how, and then, you know, when she started gaining friends and dealing with different children, it was more of an expatriate community. So the kids, every there was German kids, there was English kids. So there were just everybody
Yeah,
was
we had
different.
Japanese kids. I had Japanese
Yeah,
friends growing up.
it
There was a
was
lot of
just-
Japanese friends in South Africa.
Yeah. So it's different people with different customs and traditions, and everybody got along. I mean, I will say there were some fights in different schools when you first go into a new school. That's a scary thing, you know. So then sometimes the kids would fight, but eventually everybody just seemed to become friends.
Yeah, it takes time, but it's necessary that it will be also in education. That's why I think it will be good to use for the school of that age. And in United States, there's no international school, so this is normal school. But other than the United States, we have so many international school for expat kids, and they are moving, and I think it's kind of help to have such a book. And this book is like a crystal, you know?
Yes, I think so. It's to me, like, I also think adults could read it because it's fun. It takes you on a fantasy journey, you know.
Yes.
But it's also, you know, I'd like to see it in schools. And you're right. I didn't go to school in well, except kindergarten, I don't know, but not really here in this country. But there was very segregated when I lived in South Africa. Even you know, if you were Dutch, you went to the Dutch school. If you were on the British side, you were in the British side. And then the different tribes, the different peoples all kind of had their own school. And then when apartheid went away, then everybody was put together and there was a big fight in schools. I think I was in the last segregated, I was the last year of segregation in schools. And it was definitely a lot of boys' school, girls' schools separated as well. And so I know that there was a lot of fighting in the schools. And now I look at all my friends' kids, and they're all friends with everybody's different colors and different cultures. And it's like a big family. And so it does work. And I think it's just about understanding and to celebrate differences. And I think what's great about your book is, you know, she goes and she starts to learn her differences and understand herself. And the only way you're going to really get to understand others is if you don't like yourself, you're not going to like others, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have to start with yourself. So this is, but what was it that you decided to say, I'm going to do a children's book with this?
It was even 30 years ago. I made the drawings and it became story. So I wanted to make in different languages, but I saw English is the best because it's the most population in the world. And there, you know, there are a lot of English speaking people who are not the native. And if it's a children's book, it's also good for adults if people are not native English speaking people.
What about for kids that are in, you know, with especially military families, because they're traveling a lot? Do you see this being helpful as well?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course, because they are moving different places, meeting many different people. Like you said, exactly. I went to girls' school. I was totally traditional. And then I went to United States. And I was so surprised, you can say what you want.
And you can wear what you want. I had to go in I always had to wear uniforms. And you couldn't wear your blazer. You couldn't wear a sweater without wearing a blazer. And if you wanted to take your sweater off, you just had to wear your blazer. It was all these rules that why? And you're not allowed to fold your socks more than once. Like you can't roll. Oh, if you roll your socks,
that was a big
that's
drama.
a big deal.
Big deal.
So coming to the States, I'm looking at everybody, all these kids going to school and wearing different things and makeup.
Yes.
Oh, we're not allowed. What?
Yes.
Yeah.
From primary. Yeah, that was big surprise. And the food size is so big. Everything is so big. That's also very surprised. And then I came to Europe. I didn't know the difference of Sweden and Switzerland when I was in United States. And I thought Western and Eastern, that means United States and Europe is about the same, but it's really also different. So I think it is also time to be having more room to get together for the difference, to have a unified. So I think the message is that being a birdfish a good thing. If you are different, it is good thing, and difference good, unique, and special. And
Yes.
this is what is the book all about.
Well, you have room for other people in your life if you are a birdfish. If you are raised to only be around one group of people, first of all, you miss out on a lot.
Mm.
Yeah,
You're really missing out, and you're not
yeah,
as you don't have the opportunities or the education that you
yeah.
get when you are surrounded by different people.
Mhm.
You know, so
So
it's not a it's lonely, I think, to grow up only being in one tiny faction of a population.
yeah, I totally agree. So for those who are be in a small world, the kids can also read this book and try to understand. There will be maybe different world and different people, and then get interested. So it's not only for the people who doesn't feel fitting in, but who feels totally fitting in, and can make a bigger world. So yeah, it is children's book, but I think it's really good for adults, like you said, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
It's good for adults to read the books before their children read them.
Exactly. So
It's good.
parents, and then parents give to the kids,
yeah.
Yes,
And then you
Yeah.
have a discussion.
right.
I was reading about, some of what you brought in from your Eastern cultural, from what your mom taught you, right? She was a tea master and,
Exactly.
or a master of Japanese tea ceremony. And
Exactly.
you're talking about, Staraku learns, from her mentor, we like
Mhm,
him, the
mhm,
4 principles:
mhm,
tranquility, purity, respect, and harmony.
mhm.
Let's touch on those, because I think that's really something to everyone, like the children can grasp and go back to and really learn, because you can learn it, but then you have to act upon it to really soak it in. So let's start with tranquility. What does that
Yes.
mean to you?
If you are agitated, you cannot think. You cannot make a room. That's why it's very important that you feel safe in tranquility. Yes. That's the first. Yes.
And then purity. Tell us about that. Does that mean I'm not allowed to spill my tea? No, no spilling of
And
tea.
that kind of um, the word which is also used concretely like this, but it is like if you forgive people, your spirit will be pure. It's clear, and then you feel peace inside. If you don't forgive, you suffer, not others, and this is purity. And then if you are pure, you can see also starting to outside. You can see objectively, you know. Mhm.
And then respect. That's a good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a really good one.
Respect is also, if you see the difference of other, I mean people in that case, uh, you see you can observe the differences, and if you have a respect, you can accept it, because people are different,
And that's a good thing. But I think a lot of times, depending on how you're brought up, there is an element of fear that
Mhm,
parents give to their children in hopes that, they'll stay away from this person, um, in order to keep their children safe, because not everybody is a good person. So parents teach a little bit of fear to their kids. Sometimes it goes a little too far, and the parents, depending on how they were brought up, may fear an entire population of people because they appear different. And then they
yeah.
teach that fear to their
So,
children, and
yeah.
that fear usually, um, turns into hatred after a while. They can turn into hatred, and then you have wars.
Exactly.
know?
It's a big theme,
Mm.
but it's exactly like I said. If you feel weak, if you have a fear, you may hurt somebody.
Right.
So, of course, if somebody has gun and coming to you, you have to protect yourself.
Right.
But if appearance is different, it doesn't mean it is bad. I mean, difference is good thing. There are good things which you can see if you have a room inside, because you can forgive, you can have a room inside, then you can also allow to accept others. And is starting the peace. I mean, this is very this is my dream to talk about peace, but it's starting from bottom up. Like everyone can meditate, everyone can have a room and forgive, and then it's starting a peace inside. And if you don't have a peace inside, you cannot share this with other people.
That's right. And then you say harmony is the fourth principle. So that's where everything comes together.
Yes, that's the thing. You can be a friend with others, even the differences are still, you can use your strength. And at the end, in this world nowadays, it's really different people are mingling everywhere. So I think this is a way of making peace inside, but making peace outside around you and for the world. And this is a message which I want to bring in this book.
That's beautiful. It really is. I
And we
think
need that.
I think it's so timely now, as it seems everybody's fighting in this country anyway. I know other countries too, whether it's political, whether it's over culture. Definitely culture. We really must make room, like you say. I think that is a very big thing. And as the world is changing, the natural world, and that's something I think you bring in your book too, is nature to, and even having, birdfish, that's already there. You're starting to look at nature in that way, and that we're connected with it. But as we go through like climate change and all of these things, the only way is to unite. And people are moving, and they're moving for different reasons. Immigration is a thing happening, not just the border of the USA, everyone, it's happening around the world for many different reasons. And we're one planet. We're not, whoever put the borders up, that was just, whatever. We don't believe in borders here, so it's about, crossing over. And I think we're in a giant shift, and you're not going to get anywhere, like you say, if everyone's angry all the time. Nothing gets done. And we have things we have to do as a world together. It's the only way for the planet to survive, is if we are together in harmony.
We have, for the environment and the climate. If we don't work together around the world, nothing is going to change.
Exactly.
So we have to.
Yeah, because United States is a melting pot of many different cultures. It is important that United States also start to feel about it. And I wrote here the discussing and talking and helping also trees. And this, like Lisa said and Nancy said, it's like helping also nature. And if kids, I mean, children are our future. So if kids starting to feel by themselves, if every kids, and this will be a big move, So that's a lot of dream in my dream in the stories. Yes,
I like that. I like that. Well, because I think also when we dream, we're in the purity level. We're not, when you're dreaming or meditating, and once you get all the chatter out, all the external noise out, and you're in dream or meditation, you're not editing or changing reality.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, that's why it is important not making only for yourself, but also to communicate about it, about about your feeling of forgiveness and having strong feeling. And because birdfish are good thing, difference make you strong. And if you're strong, you don't hurt people, but you want to start to be able to help others. And others mean only people, but things as well. You will be more cautious.
You know, you really can't survive on your own very well. You know, not all of us are going to be a medical doctor. And so, and some of us may need medical attention throughout our life. At some point, you probably will need a doctor. So you're going to go to someone else for that help. So we're meant to work together to help each other.
Exactly. That's very, very, yes.
Yeah.
And in business, we have to be like that too. I think
Yes,
that's the other thing. That's the other change to see is business changing the way it's done.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. You can see this birdfish and the fish and agumus and the bird
Agumus, I like it.
Yeah, at the country. You can also imagination, yes.
I love that.
Right, because of that and little things. So yes,
Wonderful.
it's also peace. Yes, exactly.
Are you going to do book groups or anything like that? I know that you're in Switzerland, but so much is on Zoom now. Are you able to connect with schools or do some kind of, maybe even, children that are being homeschooled to be able to talk with them? Or is that hard without being there in person?
Yes, I would like to discuss with international schools because there are a lot of international children here who goes to English schools and local schools for the English class. I also want to bring, and there are also private banks client family who has children who are moving always, and there I would like to also talk, and multinational companies who has a lot of expat with the families. So somehow I like to let a lot of children to read this, but it just started, so I have to discuss with which organization and which schools and private banks can like my book and want to use that for their student or members.
Wonderful, wonderful. Everyone, again, you got to go get the book. It's very cool. And you are going to want to color. And
yes,
you are going to want to do that. So everyone, the book is The Birdfish and the Secret of Crystal Island. And Crystal Island is cool. I want to go to Crystal Island.
Yeah.
And by Dr. Katsura Suzuki, and you can go to her website, drkatsurasuzuki.com, and learn more. Of course, get on Amazon, Bookshop, all those places that you like to get your books, and try and support your local bookstore as much as possible too. And go ahead, Nancy.
I was just thinking, what would be really fun if you took it to Disneyland and they made a ride.
Yes.
Wouldn't
Crystal
that be fun?
Island.
Yeah, the Crystal Island ride.
Yes.
Ooh.
I want to go through the Crystal Island.
I know. And what a cool way to educate your kids while they're having a good time on a ride that takes them through. Ooh.
I want to go there.
I want to go.
I want to go to Crystal Island.
Good
it would
idea.
Make a nice movie too.
Yeah.
Like a nice kind of cartoon movie, I'd like that.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I want to go to Crystal Island.
Yeah. Disneyland.
I want to live there.
Me too.
It sounds good. It sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Keep up with us also at bigblendradio.com. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
It was cool. Thank you.